This is Television Victoria News.
Sustainable development is a very important, I think, phrase for our country from here on in. I was very impressed with the advocacy of this in the Sunraysia.
A man acknowledgement of his work during the Prime Minister's only official speech today was just reward for years of work. Hal Hewitt, Director of Integrity Rural Products, has been researching a strategy into sustainable development for years.
From here on in, I was very impressed with the advocacy of this in the Sunraysia by Mr Hewitt, amongst others, over a long period of time, and we picked those themes up in the various task force reports.
Documents from Integrity Rural Products Proprietary Limited were touting Sunraysia as a pilot for sustainable development in the late 80s. This one dated October 1992. Hal Hewitt has exchanged correspondence with senior government officials, including the Prime Minister, on the subject, and took special pride in being able to personally discuss his ideas with Mr Keating.
It was very exciting. I'm very, very pleased that he did that, and we've spent a lot of time putting information to them, and I think to a large degree they've taken it on board.
Mr Hewitt says clean food is the flip side to sustainable development, and the two themes cannot be separated.
Australia has this opportunity to capture the value of the clean image by practicing clean practices, and that's sustainable development. And this is really sort of taken off in a variety of different things in state government, NGOs and private corporations who have been long-time supporters of this particular concept in this district.
Having gained prime ministerial acknowledgement for his work, Hal Hewitt is now hopeful of taking an active role in subsequent processes. He says Mr Keating is looking for a spirit of community cooperation to see the project through.
I think it's terribly important not to lose the effectiveness of it. It's terribly easy for money to be, sort of lost on plans and things like this, which, in the end are meaningless to us. We have to, in fact, realise that this is a marketing opportunity just as much as it is an opportunity to, do some improvements to our agriculture and our watering and everything else like this. We have to sell that we are doing this now, and that way we can add value to our products and break the price drought that currently afflicts it.
If I can have your attention at the back of the hall. I don't like people interjecting when I'm trying to speak. But my job tonight is just to MC this evening, which is the launch of Clean Cuisine, and the launch of the Clean Cuisine Resource and Training Centre at Warburton. Now, I've been involved on and off over the years with the Upper Yarra Community House at Warburton, which really is a most interesting organisation, a locally driven, locally inspired, entrepreneurial and socially conscious organisation which helps people, and in this particular case is helping get up an idea which may well help young people in the community and in a wider sense help Australia as we turn our attention to marketing more efficiently the food production of this country. Our special welcome tonight, of course, to ACTU Secretary Bill Kelty, who has given a lot of help to this project over the years, a lot of moral and strong-arm support. He persuaded Simon Crean, the Minister for Employment, Education and Training, to take an interest in this, and of course DEET itself has taken a long interest in the project as well. And there is an additional funding of $85,000 for the next stage of development, which is really wonderful news. Now, clean cuisine is a new concept, but a very logical and simple concept. It is basically that we should combine clean food and cleaner production processes, that we should use in our restaurants and use in the whole range of the food consumption area, whether it's from a restaurant through to the kitchen, through to a can, that we should use clean, unadulterated food. This is a great strength in Australia. I should remind you of the anecdote about the Australian wine industry that has taken off in Europe following Chernobyl. Europeans are well aware of the dangers of modern industrialisation, poor waste management and inefficiency when it comes to managing nuclear energy. So whether you're for it or against it, obviously you don't want to have dirty food. You don't want adulterated food, and Australia, of course, is blessed in that it is an unadulterated country, and that if you give some logic and some consistency to the idea of applying that clean production of ours with marketing, then you have a chance of maximising dollars for this country and creating a lot of worthwhile activity around the place. And that's really what this idea is about. Now tonight we're going to have Bill will speak to us, Don will speak to us, and Sally Kiernan, who has really been one of the driving forces behind this affair, especially with, I should say, with Helen Homewood, she'll have a few words to say as well. So that's all I really have to say. This is a fantastic project. I wish it all the very best, and I really think it's in the interests of us all that we give it its support, because I think it's a tremendous thing. I would now like to just say that before we go on, we're going to have a little bit of, before we go and celebrate, naturally if we're going to celebrate a clean cuisine, I could never say collywobbles either. We'll celebrate first with Imogen, who is going to sing the theme.
After 30 years association with John, I can take that with a smile. I'd just like to say that a few words about the food here tonight, because it's representative of something that we hope will happen across a much broader spectrum and in a much bigger way. And I pay tribute here to Helen Homewood, who's done the food tonight with the help of the preparation staff in the Yarra Valley Country Club. She has sourced all the food. It's all organically grown, I mean, and it's indicative of what we can achieve if we try. I think that the important thing from the point of view of the consumer is flavour, and something else that underlies it, and that is sustainable agricultural practices. And I guess what I would point out is that we have very safe food already, as the National Food Authority's report shows. Virtually no pesticide residues or residues of any sort in any of the food tested. And so obviously our food is already safe. The intriguing question is, why doesn't that make it sell? And I think the answer is that the consumer, especially in Australia anyway, is already convinced that the food is safe. And so to say it's even safer doesn't actually add any marketing pizzazz to it, important as it is. And if you look at the example of Heinz Dolphin Safe Tuna, there was no examination of what was actually in the can, but rather that it was saving dolphins. And I think that's the thing that we've got to bear in mind with this whole concept of clean cuisine, and that is that we are reaching back into the processes by which our food is grown, transported, packaged, processed and generally prepared, and we are examining all those processes to refine them so that we can eventually make and substantiate a clean claim, and therefore capitalise on Australia's clean image, which is a multi-billion-dollar marketing opportunity. And especially given the fact that we're leading up to the Sydney Olympics and will therefore have a world stage by the year 2000, I think that this is an opportunity which could transform the economic and the environmental prospects for this country. I'd like to mention also that the wine is sourced from the Yarra Valley by Denise Miller, who is an expert on the Yarra Valley wines, and we thank her very much for her support too. So that'll do from me, and thank you very much.
And now a man with a very discerning fang, Mr. Bill Kelty. Come on, Bill.
Thanks very much. Been introduced many occasions, but never so dishonestly. When I go to the football, it's pie and chips, especially if we win. It's quite a unique opportunity to be here for me, because I suppose it brings together a lot of things that I believe in. And when you have to launch things, as I have to do, the first thing you've got to ask yourself, what are you actually launching? Because I don't want you all to leave and say, well, why were we here? You know, what actually was launched? Because there's no books and there's nothing actually to give away, I don't think, is there? So there's nothing to give away. What we're launching is more than an idea, and it's not a request for more government funding. It is a generation of a practical view as how to implement a good idea. And that's what it's all about. It brings together, I think, as I said, a number of things that I have a very high regard for. First is the Hewitt brothers. These are people who are very exceptional people. They have a sense of zeal, activity, persistence, beyond any people that I have ever met in my life. I know nobody like them. Occasionally I wish that I didn't know them quite often. Now let me just say to you that in terms of getting the funding from the government, that it was a government decision. Deep made the decision and Simon supported it. I can relate this story to you, however, which does reflect what the Hewitt brothers will do. I told Simon that the Hewitt brothers were about to see him. Now when you say to people in Canberra that the Hewitts are after you, they say, well, what can we do? Some people close the door, other people say, well, tell us when they're coming, because we won't be here. But nevertheless, they managed to see everybody. In fact, Hal said to me, I said, do you think they know us up there? I said, the mere mention of the word frightens most of them. The mere mention of the word frightens them. Well, anyway, this week, particular week, Simon said, I understand the Hewitt brothers are coming. I said, no, just one of them, Hal. I'll make it easier for you. He said, well, I am very busy, and I can't see them. I said, I'm sure they'll understand. And Hal was up there from Monday morning, 8:30, to 12:30 every night, and he met every minister, excluding the Prime Minister and Simon. Simon managed to do the impossible, avoid him for the whole week. The whole week. You know, it's not an easy task, an impossible task. Well, Simon had a couple of, well, he had a personal problem in as much as he promised Carol that he'd see Carol during the week. He didn't keep that appointment. So what he said, let's have a weekend away. We'll go to this very romantic spot, Warrandyte. So there was Carol one Saturday morning. Children weren't with him. He's bringing in his bags. And who did he see? Coming down the stairs to this hotel was Hal Hewitt. And Hal got him. So these people are persistent and they're energetic and they're visionary. I think they're half mad. I think that's probably right. I said that to Hal once, only probably you're only half mad. We're all a bit half mad. As long as we don't go over the edge, we're all in it together. Half madness is not a bad thing. But these people are energetic and enthusiastic about something which I think is also important, and that's the environment. Now, I think people can latch onto these things because they're nice things to say, and we can all be environmentally friendly when the politics demand it. I remember Rob Jolly coming to us not a year ago or 2 years ago, a long time ago, a decade ago, when it wasn't a trendy thing to say, and he was saying that in his judgment the environment was important. And it was important not because it was trendy, but because it was basic. That is, you've got to be concerned with the environment because it's an industry in itself, that the concern of nations for the environment will become an industry. And that is something of importance to this country. That it's important because it's a framework for an industry, and it's one of our great comparative advantages as a country. That we ought to pay more regard to it. And it shouldn't be sidelined, it should be very basic to a union movement's view of society, to society's view of itself. And when people like Rob were saying that, people were laughing at him, really. So these people are trendy, the Balmain weavers, the Warrandyte weavers of our society, and they're there basically to pay little regard to. But it's people like the Hewitts and Rob who have made it part of the mainstream now, where it ought to be, where the opposite is true. I mean, no politician and no company and no community leader can get up and say that they disregard the environment. And I think that's been one of the great shifts of the last decade. And I, for one, will not pretend I was at the forefront of it. For my own part, I would not pretend. What we're trying to launch tonight, we're trying to launch that sense of activity, sense of commitment, to build up the community involvement, to build up the business involvement, to make it real, so that it's no longer something not understood. Now, I'm not sure whether it will ever get to be an Olympic Games sport. I doubt that it will. I have had trouble convincing Hal that I don't think that there's going to be too many gold medals given in the formal sense. Although I must say that if I had a choice of spending $130 million for gold medals, try to win a few more gold medals, or $130 million to do something more on sustainable development, I probably would have chosen the latter. But I think the point is true, that we can, in terms of the rest of this decade, set ourselves up with that objective. So we get rid of having sustainable development as something that committees talk about, and something that workers understand, communities understand, businesses sell, Australians believe in, because it's part of this country. Now, we already, I think, have the best country. I think we already have the best environment. I think that we have some of the great qualities of a great democratic nation. But I think we need to meld into that a real quality commitment to environment. It is not fanciful or rhetorical or dwarfed by committeedom. It's got to be in the workplace, it's got to be in business. If we can do that, then we have won the great environment debate. And the visions of the Hewitts and the Rob Jolies, and I dare say a great number of you who have believed in it with a great passion, will believe that it's having something of substance, and you have made a great contribution to this country, every one of you. So that's what we're about. It's not an easy thing to do, it's a hard thing to do, therefore it has to get some support along the way. So we have to get a bit of government support. At the end of the day, it will have no life of its own unless we can collectively do it. And here is a demonstration model of the environment, the environmentalists, the community and regional Australia at work.
Growing when they see me. I'm not going to take up much more of your time. Oh, sorry. Lift it up. Okay. I'm not going to take up much more of your time, but I do want to take this opportunity to say that the Community House has a strong commitment to developing this resource and training centre. We've been fortunate enough to be, how can I put it, spotted by the Hewitt brothers. And it was, there was an obvious link there in that we were the hospitality training provider in the region, and they had some good ideas, so we went from there. The viability assessment study came out in about May, and from then on we're now into stage 2. It's been a great learning curve for us, and it's not something really that traditionally community houses have become involved in. And in fact, I've had a few comments like, when are you going to be changing your name? You know? And I don't think it's about changing our name. I think it's about altering the perception of community houses. So first of all, I'd really like to thank everybody for coming. There are a lot of representatives here tonight from potential key players in the development of this centre. We'd very much like you to stay involved. We'd like to keep you informed. Organisations like industry training boards, EPA, educational organisations and industry are all represented here tonight, all of whom are going to play a vital part in the development of the centre. Secondly, I'd very much like to thank the Shire of Upper Yarra for their commitment to this project. Bill was talking about what a country we had. Well, I might be biased, but I think we've got the best bit of it. And it's the obvious location to develop something that's about freshness, that's about purity, that's about growth, that's about development. So the Shire of Upper Yarra, which may not last much longer, amalgamation anyway, has been very supportive of our endeavours, and I'm extremely pleased to be able to say that it will be an ongoing relationship. Whatever happens in the future with local government, Clean Cuisine will have Upper Yarra stamped very firmly on it. I'd like very much also to thank Bill Kelty tonight, whose support of the project has been obvious from the things he's been saying. Support like that is not to be sneezed at. Again, I'd really like to thank Deet. This might sound like a bit of a suck, but it isn't.
How much more do you want?
It's not usual to attach a word like vision to a government department. But in this instance, I think there have been a few key players within Deet who've really been remarkable for their support and encouragement of this project. It isn't an easy thing to sort of get your head around when a community house coordinator from the bush comes in and says, we've got something that's going to be a national pilot and change the face of the hospitality industry. And they didn't show me the door. They listened, and they were very supportive and very encouraging, while working within their charter and within their mandate as a bureaucracy. There's been room for, particularly personally, as the sort of government liaison person, I've found a lot of support and a lot of commitment from them. So I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to thank them for their money, but I would also like to thank them for their commitment, particularly in Area Northeast and the Outer Eastern region. And you know who you are. I'd like to thank Louise King, who has coordinated the launch tonight. I think it's spectacular. I've been running around being important and haven't got my hands dirty once. And there's always people behind the scenes who actually do the work. And I would like to commend Louise and Helen for tonight. And the Upper Yarra Community House staff who've put up with absolute mayhem over the last 4 weeks. I can't thank you enough. That's enough of that, no more talking. Just enjoy the Clean Cuisine. Enjoy the food.
We will see that.